Hello scaredy cats, it's me, Scaredy Matt, and welcome to what is probably my final Wishmaster review, or is it? Thank you for sticking with me this far. The Wishmaster series has had some real ups and downs. Well, one up and then a series of increasing disappointments. Wishmaster was real fun. It was inventive and genuinely full of surprises. Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies, was a mostly by the numbers cheap cash grab, but it was carried by a magnificent performance from Andrew Divoff. Wishmaster 3, Beyond the Gates of Hell, was insufferable. Those three movies I had fond memories of watching, but Wishmaster 4, I remember thinking even at the time, when I liked 2 and 3, that it was pretty crummy. I went into this movie with pretty low expectations, and having watched it, I'm left with one major question. Does Wishmaster 4 The Prophecy Fulfilled kind of own? Straight up, Wishmaster 4 is easily the best Wishmaster movie other than the first one. It's still hampered by a critical lack of Divoff, but its script, acting, and hoo boy the effects are all leagues ahead of either of the other sequels. The production value is still less than you might want, but it's pretty clear they just filmed wherever they could afford, and that weirdly adds to its charm. What's more, it answers a question that I've had since the beginning. Does the jinn fuck? Like, obviously he could fuck, despite his Ken doll crotch situation, like someone could just wish that he had a wiener and he could go to town. Or whatever they wanted. You know, there's a lot of varieties of ways that he could fulfill that wish. But that's not the question. We know he can. The question is, does he? What those horns do. I'll be grading this movie on my patented Does It Own scale. Each thing that owns will score a Divoff. Each thing which does not own will score a Greg. At the end, we'll tally up the score and decide officially whether Wishmaster 4 owns. Let's get started. We open on protagonists Lisa and Sam, a happy couple who've just bought a new home. They're so excited that they go upstairs and have an uncomfortably long and explicit sex scene. And then Sam draws Lisa naked, the universal movie sign that one character passionately loves another. Flash forward 3 years, Lisa is driving to the home of her lawyer, Stephen Verdell. An impossibly handsome dude who's working pro bono on her case. He's doing that because he's in love with Lisa, so don't think it's not like a cool thing he's doing. He's doing it because he's in love with her. Now you might feel like you missed something. What case? Well, Sam was in a motorcycle accident shortly after the opening scene, but it's not shown because they didn't have the budget for that, so it happens off screen, and that does not own. Verdell tries to kiss Lisa, but she's like, nah. And then he gives her a magic box for a gift with a very flimsy line of dialogue to explain why.
I found it on one of my all-night web surfing jags. It's nothing.
I would put that in the not own category, but it made me laugh really fucking hard when I watched it, so I can't be mad. Anyway, the magic box obviously contains the fire opal. Lisa touches it, waking up the jinn, yada yada yada. She gets spooked, runs away. Verdell puts the opal in his safe, and then it melts through the bottom, which I thought was a nice touch. Wishmaster 4, unlike the other sequels in this franchise, sometimes does effects shots just because they make something unique or interesting happen in the film, not just because like they absolutely could not avoid it. And that owns. Lisa goes home to see Sam, who's pissed because he thinks she's cheating on him with Verdell. Sam fucking sucks. That's a big fucking Greg on that one. Sam just sulks around because he's mad that he's in a wheelchair and he can't fuck his wife anymore. So he feels like there's no reason for her to love him, and he's mad that she takes care of him because he feels pitied or whatever. I would imagine that nobody who was actually in a wheelchair was consulted for this movie, because we see Sam move between upstairs and downstairs unassisted, and there's no, like, mobility device or anything. Though credit where credit is due, they did add in a wheelchair ramp that was not there in earlier shots. That's some attention to detail. The movie never calls attention to that too, so I'm going to give that a Divoff. The main thing Sam is upset about is that he can't fuck his wife anymore. And he thinks that means she can never love him. Hey, Sam, my guy, your mouth and hands aren't paralyzed. Just a thought. We cut back to Verdell. That pesky jinn is up to his old tricks. He sneaks up on Verdell in the middle of the night and hides in the shadows while trying to entice him to make one of those classic wishes. Verdell calls the cops, and while the jinn does some cajoling, and finally Verdell says, "Oh man, I wish you'd stop speaking in riddles and tell me what you want." Wishow's like, "Aw, sick, cool. I'm the Wishmaster. I want Lisa to make 3 wishes so I can set all the jinns free. Gonna take your face now." And boy, what a face. This is the guy that played Anders on Battlestar Galactica. You basically couldn't do much better, face-wise. So he rips his fucking face off. Yes. Dev off. The next morning, Sam interrupts Lisa in the shower, and she instinctively covers up. That pisses Sam off because Sam sucks. He teleports downstairs somehow to pour himself a cup of coffee, and then pour that cup of coffee into another cup of coffee. Lisa realizes that Sam is feeling emasculated by her reaction, so she comes downstairs in lingerie to make it up to him. But before they can bone down somehow, Verdell knocks at the door. He can't convince either of them to make a wish, so he and Lisa go back to his office to discuss the case. She wishes that Verdell could get the guy they're suing, some motorcycle manufacturer whose motorcycles had faulty brake lines, to settle. Wishow calls him and, through clever wordplay, convinces him to rip out his own tongue, cut off his nose, and stab himself in the cheek. Oh yeah, and also to sign the paperwork and fax it over. You know, the wish part of the murder. Kids' fax machines were like scanners mixed with a landline telephone, which was like a cell phone, but you had to use it inside. Offices use them to transmit documents to this day, if you can believe that. Anyway, the guy gets blood all over the document, but that doesn't show up on the fax. And then Wishow makes him shoot himself. And that's 4 consecutive devoffs, 1 for each wacky injury. I don't even give a shit that it doesn't make sense. Also, the whole time he's playing with this sphere thingy. I expected that to come up again. I thought it was like some mystical artifact or MacGuffin or Jinn egg or something. Like the camera keeps focusing on it, but nope, just a weird thing in an office. Okay. So Lisa goes home to tell Sam the good news, and Sam is like, "Aw, sweet, now we can break up." And Lisa's like, "Yo, I don't want to, I love you though." And Sam's like, "Nah, you're defo fucking Verdell." Sam fucking sucks. He's abusive and possessive, and just fuck Sam. I'm Team Wishmaster. Okay, I ship Lisa and Wishmaster in this movie. Verdell calls and invites them both to dinner to celebrate. Sam turns them down because he sucks, and Lisa goes alone. Wishow manages to convince her to wish that Sam could walk again, so Sam falls over because his legs hurt from walking juice. The juice that goes in your legs when you walk. What's the deal here? I thought the wake-up ladies could sense whenever Wishow did stuff. Well, the movie actually covers this. Wishow doesn't want to reveal his true form to Lisa because he's high-key into her a little bit. What it doesn't explain is why Wishow just grants that wish without making Sam, like, walk out into traffic. Because he tries several times to kill Sam in this movie, and he had a perfect excuse to do it right there. You wished he could walk again, you didn't wish that he could control where he walked, so you could have got her, Wishow. Anyway, Lisa gets sad because she sees a couple kissing way too much in a restaurant, and their waitress is like, "I wish someone would kiss me like that." So Wishow makes everyone in the restaurant kiss her. No death or nothing, just strangers kissing on her. Now that'd be pretty deadly right here in March of 2020, but not so much in 2002 when this movie takes place. Lisa comes home, Sam is walking, but he's mad when Verdell comes in, so he storms off. Sam sucks. The next day, Lisa is working at her lingerie store 1001 Nights, which is a nice little touch. The story of Aladdin, where Wishmaster gets the whole 3 wishes conceit, was originally from 1001 Nights, or Arabian Nights as you might know it. Including that detail shows more knowledge of what jinns actually are in folklore than anything else in the franchise. So that's a big time div off. Yes. Lisa is talking to her coworker whose name I can't remember, but she's basically Phoebe from Big Time Greg. Greg on this. Fellas, if you're going to write a movie that has a character in it that's a woman, but you've never actually spoken to a woman, it's okay to pay a woman to touch up the dialogue for you. I've known many women in my life, and if one of them ever asked me, "Hey, do I look fat in this outfit?" A question, I might add, that is already weirdly stereotypical. If I said, "Yes, but only in your ass and tits," that would not make any of them happy. That would not be good news for them. That's actually a very rude thing to say to a person. In walks the jinn, fucking obviously. Everywhere Lisa goes in this movie, Jinn is hot on her trail. He stumbles around and then makes Lisa go to his place for dinner, which she does, even though she is clearly uncomfortable with his constant romantic advances, and they're destroying her relationship with her boyfriend that she's trying desperately to cling to, even though he sucks real bad. Wishow puts the moves on her, but she shoots him down, which I guess makes him a jinn cell. That's the funniest joke I'm going to make in this video. Then while he's in the other room, she says, I wish I could love you for who you really are. Oh shit, that's 3 wishes, baby! That dang old prophecy done got fulfilled, except not quite. The 3rd wish still has to be granted, and by this point there's still an hour left in the movie. So Lisa leaves, and then Wisho has an amazing conversation with some other jinns, which I guess he can just do now. And look how cool these other jinns look. Devoff on that one. Anyway, they're like, yo, grant the wish already. And Wisho's like, hey dicks, how am I supposed to grant the wish? I can't make her love me for who I am. That's not how love works. And they're like, dunno dog, but you better figure it out fast because the hunter has been awoken. Ah, right, of course, I almost forgot. Like how in every Wishmaster movie, the hunter gets awoken. You remember the hunter, whose job it is to kill the person who woke the jinn before the prophecy is fulfilled. The dork in a trench coat carrying a sword. Remember how that has happened in every Wishmaster movie up until this point? This is both a Greg and a Devoff because the hunter is so fucking goofy, but it owns very much that they give absolutely no explanation for who this guy is, how he got here, or why he's never shown up before. The only line of dialogue we get is, the hunter's awoken. That's it. So, Wisho goes to Phoebe's house. She doesn't question how he got her address, and asks her for advice to make Lisa fall in love with him. Adorably, he seems very concerned that she'll reject him once she finds out who he really is. And that's the kind of sensitivity that Sam never shows. Phoebe encourages him to be honest and to choose a good moment, and then tells him to do sex really good. To do sex good at her friend and business partner, is her advice. He's like, huh, okay, thanks. Hey, by the way, do you wish for good sex too? And she's like, yeah, I want killer sex. I wish for killer sex. And that's already a pretty bad wish. But then Wisho's like, oh yeah? And she's like, yeah, I want it to go past my comfort zone and I want it to hurt. That's weirdly candid, but you do you, Phoebe. Might I recommend a safe word though, because otherwise you might get floated up a wall and make orgasm noises and then pain noises and then die. Not a good death, Wishmaster 4. Real Greg of a death on that one. What the hell am I doing wrong? Next day, Wisho's at a strip club. Don't worry, there's a reason for that. The bartender says about a stripper, I wish I was a pimple on her ass, so then he is, but we don't see it though, for some reason. That could have been fun, like a big prosthetic pimple on the stripper's butt with his face on it or something, and then maybe she sits down and it pops and there's a big puddle of pus and it's all gross. Nah, nothing.
What the hell am I doing wrong?
Turns out Wisho invited Sam there to get him to wish to sleep with one of the strippers, but Sam won't wish nothing. Sam refuses to do anything fun or interesting in this movie, and he leaves. Then Wisho hangs out with the really not impressive fire dancing stripper.
What the
Greg!
hell am I doing wrong?
She reaches out to him because, come on, he's Anders from Battlestar Galactica. Come on, who wouldn't? He takes her hand, and the douchey bouncer pulls him away saying, hey pal, that's a good way to lose a hand. Wisho causes a fuss, so the bouncer takes him outside and kicks his ass in a very long They Live-esque fight scene. Finally, he says, I wish you'd put up a better fight, pal. Then the djinn transforms and bare-knuckle boxes this guy, and everybody? Just listen to these one-liners.
That is a good way to lose your hand, my friend. This is a better way. Now, is it Mondays and Wednesdays? Or Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Devoff.
Yes.
Big Devoff on that one. Meanwhile, the hunter is looking for Sam, that character we all know and love, the hunter. Is she under these boxes? No? Well, I guess I'll cut this lady's head off. Bye! Then he finds Sam, and there's a chase scene between this man on foot and a fucking car. And he keeps catching her for some reason until she crashes for some reason. So Wishmaster 4? You had the money to film a car crash and you didn't use that to explain how Greg got paralyzed? That's a big Greg.
What am I doing wrong?
Before the hunter can kill Lisa, Wisho shows up and tells Lisa to run away and also, conspicuously, to not turn around no matter what. Then Wisho and the hunter have a sword fight. That's really what happens. I'm not joking. And that definitely owns. And then Wisho fucking kills the hunter. He's out of the movie. That's all the hunter did. He's gone. That owns.
Yes.
What the actual fuck. Literally, the only reason they had this character was to introduce the fact that his magic sword could kill the jinn. And they already had a magic sword that could kill the jinn in the previous movie. What a fucking amazing and unnecessary way to introduce that. So Lisa goes home. There's a fake note from Sam saying he's gone, but he wants her to definitely bone down with Wisho. Obviously, Wisho wrote that. So Wisho shows up, and they have sex, and then he gets real clingy afterwards, and he's like, yo, do you love me for who I really am? And she's like, go away, weirdo. This got weird real fast. So then, all of the jinns, who, may I remind you, are trapped in the jinn dimension between worlds, and that's the whole point of this whole thing, decide that they're tired of waiting and just invade the world and fuck up Lisa's house somehow. Which I guess they could have done all along? Wisho's like, quick, love me. And she's like, nah, I can't. Then Sam shows up with a gun. Wisho fucks with him for a while. And then he's like, nah, just playing. Guns don't hurt me, dude. I'm a big time jinn. Sam wishes for the means to kill the Wishmaster, but because Sam fucking sucks, he didn't wish good enough, and all he gets is the magic sword. He really should have wished for the means and ability to kill the Wishmaster, because even though Sam is ripped like a fucking Ninja Turtle, he can't lift the sword for some reason. So the jinn throws him around, and he gets impaled on the sword. That owns, but it only owns because Sam sucks, so that's not gonna get a devoff. Wisho's like, love me, Lisa, and this can stop. And Lisa's like, okay, but only if you look like Sam. So he does, and then she pushes him back onto the sword that went through Sam's guts, double killing Sam. Sam dies twice. Yes. That owns. This movie ends with Lisa just outside, sad that her boyfriend is dead. And I was waiting for the cheap out ending where something she did made Sam come back to life. But nope. Good luck explaining to the police why your paraplegic boyfriend, who was just awarded $10 million in a lawsuit 2 days ago, was found in the attic of your house with a sword jammed through his stomach. Wishmaster 3 and 4 were both filmed within a few weeks of one another in Winnipeg, Manitoba. That's why my fellow Canadians might recognize the actor who played Lisa as Karen from Corner Gas. Even though they were made as part of the same production, Part 4 was obviously the movie they sank more time and effort into. The effects are cooler, the writing is sharper, and overall, it's just way more fun to watch. It's an actual movie. A cheap movie, to be sure, but I didn't feel like it was a grift after I watched it. I felt like they at least did what they could to make it fun and entertaining. And it's weird to me that the same guy directed both, which I mention only as an excuse to bring up the fact that his name is Chris Angel. But now we come to the real question. Does it own? According to my calculations, we've accrued 8 Gregs and 15 devoffs, an own to not own ratio of nearly 2 to 1. We can say conclusively that Wishmaster 4 is above the threshold of statistical variance required to determine that it in fact owns bones. And I couldn't be happier about that. You know, watching these movies got pretty bleak for a minute, but it's nice to see that they at least got a decent send-off. Sure, the series never really reached the same heights as the first movie, except in part 2 when he makes the lawyer fuck himself. That was pretty funny. But I'm glad to have been pleasantly surprised by this one. And so, we bid a fond farewell to Wishmaster. I'm sure you're sick of these movies by now, eager to see me cover something else. In the time I've spent talking about Wishmaster, I watched that Invisible Man everyone's talking about, and I have a lot to say about that. Which is why it would be doubly weird if next time I reviewed a movie from 2007 called The Rage, directed by Robert Kurtzman, the director of Wishmaster, and starring Andrew Divoff. Wouldn't that be weird? Wouldn't that be a bad decision? If you liked this video, press the like button and subscribe to me. Those would both help me out a lot. Please do those. Or the hunter will be awoken, as the prophecy dictates. I've never mentioned it before, but the hunter will get you with his big sword and terrible voice. It's not like a cool thing he's doing. He's doing it because he's in love with her. I guess you could say it's pro boner. I'm going to cut that out of the final video. Now you might feel